Are the Jazz rookies falling behind? That and other questions on an Ask LOJ edition of Locked on Jazz. Bum 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 bum.
You are Locked on Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Part of the Locked on Podcast Network. Your team every day.
How are you? I'm David Locke, radio voice of the Utah Jazz, Jazz NBA insider. This is Locked on Jazz. It's your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz, giving you insight, expertise, geeky numbers, and hopefully making it way better to be a Jazz fan each and every day. Thank you very much for making Locked on Jazz your first listen of the day. We are free and available on all podcasting apps and on YouTube. And we have a daily newsletter that's available at lockedondaily.com. Sign up for the Locked on Jazz newsletter. What would you get? Today, you will get Emptying the Noggin, the breakdown of last night's game, exclusively just to the newsletter. You won't get it anywhere else. And you will get Katie Heindl's national article. Yesterday, you got Mike Schreier's piece about whether everybody plays the same on his Thursday deep dives, and plus fantasy basketball, plus all the links to the important NBA stories. It's a one-stop ultimate NBA newsletter. It's available for you at Locked On Daily. Go sign up. And if you've been thinking, like, oh, I mean to do that, please do it now. All right, on today's show, which is brought to you by Robinhood. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 per month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. On today's show, it's an Ask LOJ edition, which if you're new to the Friday Ask LOJ, it's you asking Locked on Jazz questions. Will you go from road questions of fun from a few people wanting to know about life on the road to some other fun ones today? We will touch on whether or not Jordan Clarkson and how Jordan Clarkson fits in, whether John Collins' trade value is higher than ever before. How do we evaluate Will Hardy? What if the dreadful circumstance that none of our 7 developing players are big-time pieces? When is it time to evaluate Keyonte George? But we start with, are the rookies, Isaiah, Flip, and Cody, further behind than you thought they would be? This is a good question. Well, first thing, I do think the cop-out is it's too early to evaluate. But that's no fun. The second thing that I would say that I think is really interesting is how fast the league adapts. I was actually talking to Will about this last night or yesterday afternoon, and then the league as a whole, or, and one of our other coaches. I'm blown away. I mean, literally blown away by how quickly a rookie does something, and then the scouting report is out. The game that Kyle Filipowski played in San Antonio, where he was so effective, and he's at the elbow, and he's making plays and dishing it out. What we saw on this road trip was completely different because, one, no one's letting him catch at the elbow anymore because they can see he can pass, so they're pushing him way out. 2, they saw he had a spin move. He hasn't had it since. He doesn't have a great deal of lift, so that when he drives to the basket, if you can keep him on your shoulder, he's going to have a hard time getting it off. And so it's been fascinating to watch. And then the Clipper defense was a little disturbing, frankly. The Clippers basically said, to Flip, go ahead and make a shot, and he's shooting 30% from 3. So I think the biggest one I would take away is just how hard this is. That more than are they behind, how incredibly hard this is. So let me evaluate quickly, though, whether they're behind and answer the questions being asked. Because that would, politically, I could go have a fun little game, be like every politician we watched the last 12 months where you ask them a question and they never answer it. But it's a fair question. We're 15 games in. Cody Williams is further behind than I thought. Cody Williams is shooting 28% from the field and 20% from 3. I've seen the flashes. I've seen the moments. And remember, I really believed in Cody and coming out of the draft. And so I see all those flashes. They're fewer and farther between than I thought. The NBA game, his lack of physical strength is giving him a harder time. And his shot release is really rushed. And so he's making 20% of his threes and 28% of his shots overall. So yes, I would say that Cody is having a bigger struggle than I anticipated. I still see the flashes. I still see the moments. I see one a night, one every other night. There was one last night where he got in the lane, passed to the corner, and like those were the plays that I saw at Colorado that were few and far between at Colorado that I figured when he got into an NBA space and he got into a team where he got the ball more and the seniors that were kind of dominating the ball at Colorado were gone, we'd see more often than we haven't. Kyle, I wouldn't say is further behind because I actually thought he'd be in the G League. And I also think it's like worth remembering that Isaiah was the 29th pick and Collier was the 32nd pick. And it's wonderful to believe in some hopeism that everybody else was wrong. But that's generally a pretty good way to make a mistake. There were reasons why Kyle Filipowski went 32nd, and there were reasons why Isaiah Collier went 29th. And both of them are kind of shooting. Filipowski was shooting and probably defensive length. And the 30% three-point shooting and the 52% from the free throw line only on 2 attempts a game kind of is a little telling there. And then, Kyle's, I think, been jostled here recently, and his shooting is slipping, which is fine. I mean, I think he got unnerved by the way, at least it looked to me, like he got unnerved by the way that the Clippers kind of came out and said to him, like, oh, we don't think you can shoot. And since then, he's been, I would say, a reluctant shooter from 3, and it shows. And so he's going to have to kind of fight through that at some point in time here, where he gets a little bit more, tries to have some more confidence. Draymond Green had an interesting quote the other day about it. He's never been a great shooter, shooting well. But Kyle's missed 8 straight threes right now, and you can kind of tell. And he's missed, I think, 10 straight jump shots. So that's not great. That's not further behind than I thought, but that's just where he is. Isaiah Collier is exactly where I thought he'd be. In fact, a lot of times I've been making the question of like, when guys are shooting 30% from the field and 20% from 3, how long are we doing this? And I often was referencing Isaiah Collier in my head. I anticipated that Isaiah Collier would shoot 35% from the field and 20% from 3. He's shooting 38% from the field and 7% from 3. So I knew his jump shot was not NBA ready, and there wasn't enough time to fix it. So that has not surprised me. So to answer your question, I would say yes. Cody is probably a notch behind where I thought. It's been a really rough start, and he's even a little bit of a notch behind where the other rookies are. But the other rookies in the league haven't been particularly great either, right? Jared McCain is now leading all rookies at 16 points a game and shooting well, but like Rasha Shea is shooting 39 and 25. Dalton Connect's obviously playing well. We saw it firsthand. Stephen Castle is shooting 39-28. Alexander Scharr is shooting 35 and 20. Keyonte George is shooting 35 and 27. Tristan Da Silva, who was old, is shooting 40 and 33. Like Ryan Dunn is now down to 33 after everyone was so excited. Ron Holland is shooting 41 and 13. So I think the whole class as a whole is struggling. So Cody's Reed Shepard, who was supposed to be the best shooter in the draft, is shooting 41% and 38% from 3. Tajon Salon, who was drafted before Cody, is shooting 28% and 26%. Like, this class is having a hard time overall. You said 30 games on Keyonte George, but have wavered. Fair. I have. How long till I decide? Wow. Tough questions from the peanut gallery today. Keyonte, we did a bunch of shows this week on Keyonte. I mean, there are all sorts of signs of positive development on Keyonte. So, but then there's like last night again. Like, he goes 6 of 18. He goes 1 of 5, I think it was, in the fourth quarter. He has a terrible turnover where he doesn't run back defensively, and optically it looks horrendous. Where I don't know if that pass was that bad, but he certainly didn't create a good angle. You'll see it. If you are on the internet, you'll see it because somebody will do it because just look back. Like, it's an internet play. Like, you throw an entry pass to John Collins. Sean Penny gets over the inside shoulder of John Collins, tips it away. Keyonte looks at it like, oh my gosh, that got tipped away. Stands still. Sean Penny sprints after it, saves it for a dunk the other way. It's bad. I'm going to sort of answer your question because I don't actually have an answer on when I'm going to decide. Let me back up the premise of the question. The premise of the question is that Keyonte last year was on the borderline at 40% from field and 33% from three of players that make it or not. Like those numbers weren't great indicators for the rest of your career. And so I had made the comment that I wanted to see what he was shooting 30 games in. And then he started with the worst, like 6-7 game stretch you could imagine to start a season. Actually, I think it was like the worst 5 game stretch to start a season. And so my comment was like 30 days has to be pushed. So I will tell you next what my timing or my thoughts are on when you evaluate Keyonte and whether or not he is going to ever put the ball in the basket enough for you to feel comfortable with. Today's show is brought to you by Murdoch Hyundai, located at 4646 South State Street, also in Logan and in Linden. The Hyundai lineup of cars, it's awesome. Like from my standpoint, we've bought 3 of them, so I'm totally legit here. What I evaluated was how much I was getting for my dollar. So bells, whistles, safety features, things, safety rating. I bought them for each of my kids, so that was a large part of it. And then for me, it was look. So for those 3 combinations for me, there was nothing that equaled the Hyundai. Like that's why we bought the Ioniq. It was the electric car. It won the car of the year. It had all the safety features. The price was right, and I thought it looked cool. And then we had bought 2 Santa Fe's as well. I'm driving the Palisade right now. It's absolutely fabulous. So it's a great lineup of cars. If you're looking for a car right now, put Hyundai on your list, and then you decide whether you agree with me and whether the look looks the same. And we'll get you the VIP treatment over at Murdoch Hyundai. 4646 South State Street, also in Linden and in Logan. Send me an email at dlock09@gmail.com. That's dlock09@gmail.com so that we can give you the VIP treatment you deserve as a locked on every day, or if you're heading over to the guys and ladies over at Murdoch Hyundai. Email me first so we give you the VIP treatment over at Murdoch Hyundai. Today's episode is also brought to you by Chime. Chime is time for you to be able to grab control and be serious about your finances. Do you want to save for a big purchase? Do you finally realize what your credit score is for? Is it time to focusing on paying off debt? Well, this is when Chime comes in. Take control of your finances by using Chime checking account with features like no maintenance fee, free fee overdraft up to $200, or get paid up to 2 days early with direct deposit. Learn more at chime.com/NBA. Chime helps you make progress with fee-free overdraft up to $200. Your next deposit is applied to your balance. Get spotted on debit card purchases and cash withdrawals. No monthly fees, no maintenance fees, and over 50,000 fee-free ATMs. Chime has spotted members over 30 billion. You can give friends a boost too. Eligible members get complimentary boost to temporarily increase a friend's spot me limit. When you get a boost, then you can boost you back temporarily to raise your limit. So set up direct deposit in your Chime account after qualifying direct deposit of $200 plus. Chime will notify you to enroll into Spot Me. When activated debit card spot, Chime will spot you up to $200 when you exceed your balance. Make all your finances a little greener by working towards your financial goals with Chime. Open your account in 2 minutes at chime.com/NBA. That's chime.com/NBA. Chime. It feels like progress. Thanks so much for making Locked On Jazz your first listen of the day. Each day, we try to send out a question on our YouTube community page for you to be able to. We're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers. What do you think the most significant factor in the Jazz offensive improvement since November 3rd? The integration of John Collins got 59%. Keyonte's enhanced pick and roll performance got 20%. Change in floor spacing got 12%. And increased guard-to-guard actions got a 9% reaction or vote yesterday from all the voters on the Locked On Jazz YouTube page. Subscribe and get those votes in as well. Last night, the Jazz first half was about as good as you could possibly imagine. And then obviously it fell apart in the second half and a loss to the Spurs. I write about it in Empty the Noggin, so you can get that in the newsletter if you want more on that one. We're doing more of an LOJ edition today. I've got some other notes on last night's game I'll get you. So when on Keyonte, I don't have a date, but I have some things I'm going to look for. So one, fewer plays like the one that's going to go on the internet. Like those just optically are bad for everyone, your teammates, yourself. They're bad. You got to be hustling. 2, shot location is going to matter to me. So last night, Keyonte takes 1 shot at the rim. He goes 6 of 18 from the field. And he makes the shot at the rim. So on the other 17 shots, he's really taking shots. If he's taking threes, They're 36% shots. That's league average on threes. And he takes one or two runners in the lane. Those are like 40% shots. That's kind of league average, 42. He's a little below it. And so one of the things that jumps out to me on Key is on those 17 shots, if he shoots them at like league average, he's going to make 6. Oh, wait, that's what he made 5. So last night when Keyonte goes 6 of 18 from the field, honestly, he missed one shot he should have made. But because he's taking 14 jump shots, 3 runners in the lane, and 1 layup, his chance of being efficient is almost non-existent. Like truly, if Keyonte becomes really, really good, let's just walk through it for a second. He takes 3 shots he takes the shot at the rim, he makes it. He takes 3 shots in the paint. If he's really, really good, he makes 1 or 2 of those, right? Like you're not making 100% of your shots in the paint. You're really making probably 45% if you're good at them, if they're not in the restricted area. So you're making either 1 or 2. And then you have 14 jump shots that are about 36% shots. So you're making 5 of those. You're going 5 of 14. So if you add on 1 of those paint shots, then you're 7 of 18 for the day. If you add on 2, you're 8 of 18 for the day. He went 6 of 18. He missed 1 shot he probably should have made. So my problem right now is that his shots he's taking, he hasn't found a way to get himself any easy baskets. It's either fast break hustle, off an offensive rebound, where he probably doesn't crash a lot, or getting to the rim. But if he'd had a good night, he shoots 39% last night. On a bad night, he shot 33%. So before he could ever become a good shooter, and we said an evaluation that Keyonte George has to go shoot this percentage, his shot distribution has to get better because you can't live on jumpers. In turn, Keyonte has shot in 9 of his 14 games this year, he shot 36% or worse. We'll lose. I would guess we've lost every one of those. Well, I mean, it's not that hard. We've only won 3 games, but we'll lose every single one of them forever. If he's your leading shot taker, one of them, and shoots 36% or worse. So that's what I'm going to evaluate. Where's Keyonte? Can Keyonte figure out a way to not just be a jump shooter? Because even if he becomes Steph Curry, right? If he had become Steph Curry and he's making 40% of his jump shots, he makes 6 of them. He makes 7 in the paint, maybe 8 and 9, and then he goes 9 of 18, then he's 50% shooter, then he's Steph Curry. But if you go look at Steph Curry's shot chart, Steph Curry's getting 3 shots a night at the rim. So that's my thought on Key. That's what's got to happen. How does Jordan fit in a developing team? I'd actually say kind of beautifully, frankly. So on one sense, I do think okay, Bryce Sensabaugh plays last night because Jordan Clarkson doesn't play. And so on the surface, it's a really easy answer to say, well, wait a sec. Bryce Sensabaugh got 22 minutes last night. And Bryce Sensabaugh's 22 minutes is way more important than Jordan Clarkson getting 26 minutes for a team that's just developing pieces and trying to figure out about the 7 youngsters, and one of the 7 youngsters, Bryce. Got it. And I have a feeling with this plantar fasciitis that we may start to see Jordan play 2 in a row sit. Like wouldn't be surprised if Jordan sits one of the back-to-backs. And so that we actually start to see Jordan sitting with some regularity with the plantar fasciitis. It does seem like it's getting inflamed the more he plays. And so you're giving him an extra day, and then we kind of do this. And I always kind of thought this whole season that would probably be something we would do with Jordan. But honestly, if you watched part of last night's collapse, we noticeably missed Jordan on the floor. There is a value to having veterans on the floor that give you a semblance of order, that allow you to make plays, be in the right structure, know what to do, get shots off, be calm. Jordan's a pretty emotional player, so I'm not sure he's always the one who calms everyone. But I do think that there's a real value to having someone that gives you a semblance of order out there. And I think Jordan does that. And then also just Jordan's practice habits, work habits, around the team stuff is good. It's really good. And he's a cool cat that cares about the guys, cares about all the right things, and he's good to have around the team. So I think his yes, on surface, I think I understand where your question's coming from. Like, wait, Bryce Sensabaugh got 22 minutes last night because Jordan didn't play. Isn't Bryce Sensabaugh better getting 22 minutes for a developing team than Jordan Clarkson getting 22 minutes? I got the concept, and I think that it's a fair comment, but I think in the bigger ecosystem of the team, where things are and what you kind of to get other play, like if Cody Williams is going to come around, he's got to be playing with some sort of order and understanding, and think people have to be on the floor and create mismatches and then spin the ball out. Should Jordan be our number one shot attempt guy? No, probably not. Like, can some of that get under control? Yes, that'd be great. So I agree. John Collins' trade value may be as high now as it's been since we acquired him. Could now be the right time to move him? So I'm not sure I agree with the first premise here. Like, I don't have the feeling that John Collins is a way better player right now than he was at some other time in his career, honestly. Like, I think John Collins has been a really, really good player throughout his career. And that John Collins is a really, really good player right now. John Collins is playing great right now. In fact, I think John Collins in some ways last year had an off year for the Jazz. I think the adjustment, trying to figure out was it a 4 or a 5 or what he was doing and how he fit. I thought he might have just been off a little bit last year. He ended up shooting 37% from 3, and his numbers came back by the end of the year, but it just didn't feel like a very comfortable year. So, like, I mean, the guy that averaged 22 points and 10 rebounds a game at 22 years old in Atlanta was pretty well thought of, and the guy the next year averaged 18 points and 7 rebounds was pretty well thought of. I think the league knows who John Collins is. I don't think, like, talking to scouts, I don't think someone's like, oh, John Collins has really changed. So the only thing I would say on this is, like, John Collins didn't have, for whatever weird reason, John Collins did not, with his contract number, probably the reason, did not have a lot of value, and the Jazz basically got him for free. So does John Collins have value to a team? Yeah, probably. That he would help a team win, but he's making $25 million, and to trade for him, 26, I think somebody has to send us $26 million, likelihood. And I don't know how they can do that. Just the trade dynamics with John. So I don't actually agree with the premise that his trade value is as high as it's ever been, and is right now the time to move him. I think people know how good John Collins is, and he's really, really good right now. He's really good, and he's punishing switches and doing a lot of things, and he is showing how, like, he's a very effective player right now. And I think that there's so yes, he could help a team, but the trade dynamics to trade him are hard. And I don't have a feeling that his trade value has jumped dramatically. I think everyone kind of always has known he's a really good player, and he's not doing anything he hasn't done in his career. So yeah, that's the only thing I would say on that. And he's actually pretty valuable. Again, same thing. Like, he might be best just to spend his career with a developing Utah team and score 18 points and 8 rebounds a game and be really happy doing that and playing 28 minutes a night, and just has great energy and juice and gives us, again, some semblance of order so that every possession's not a disaster. Like, it just can't be a mess out there. There's got to be some environment by which people can thrive. On that note, how do you evaluate Will Hardy? And what if none of our 7 players are any good? Okay, that's not what they said. They weren't mean like that. They said they aren't big-time pieces. Let's touch on that when we continue on today's edition of an Ask LOJ edition of Locked on Jazz. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. That's the official ticketing app of Locked On. Game Time is everything you ever would want in a ticketing app. And now that they have Game Time picks, it's even better. Game Time has always been awesome because Game Time's had all-in pricing, toggle the feature on, see the total up front. Seat view, panoramic view of your seat, put in the app before you buy. Lowest price guarantee, you get credit 110% of the difference, and the best ticket, flexible customer service policy in the ticket industry. But now they have Game Time picks, so it's even better. Game Time picks is a new feature that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams perfect. Filter out the fluff to show you only the incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. That's right. Want to go see the Jazz and the Knicks? You can search. Want to go see Utah Hockey Club? You can search, and they will show you. Plus, the app feature lists customize your seat, which gives them a little bit more information. You curate your deals. You get the super deal. You see the view from your seats. You're perfectly happy. You download the Game Time app. You create an account. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase, and you're rolling. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time picks. Terms apply. Again, create an account. Redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. Today's show is also brought to you by Robinhood and the revolutionary Robinhood Gold. That's right. Robinhood Gold. You don't need to have a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows you and others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.25% APY on uninvested cash and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost in an IRA contributions. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of high net worth to any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply. Your product specific disclosures. Visit robinhood.com/gold. Investment involves risk. Rate may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold, LLC. How do we evaluate Will Hardy, you ask? Maybe you don't. No, I actually think just the little signs of improvement. The fact that you see Will work on something, mention something, and then you see it happen on the court is how. I don't think you look at him in wins and losses. I think he's incredibly dedicated to the task right now of developing the young players. He's got some 5-man lineups out there that are rough to watch and letting them try to figure it out. I think you evaluate Will Hardy on whether you see them try to implement things, game strategy, and the players follow through. It's about as hard and difficult an environment to coach in as I've ever seen. I also think you watch the player relations with Will, and they're incredible. So I'm going to fly through that one pretty easily. I think if there's one thing I'm certain about with the Utah Jazz right now, they have a really good head coach. This is interesting. This is like 5 shows in one right here. So none of our 7 developing players are big time pieces. So there's a lot here like that to digest. Like, what does a big time piece mean? Like, are any of our 7 pieces top 20 pieces in the NBA? I don't think so. Like, I think if you big time to me is Lowry's a big time piece. So that's top 30 in the NBA. Yeah, I would be surprised if any of our guys are top 30 players in the NBA. I'm trying to think of who the 30th ranked player. I don't even know if Lowry is right now. I'd have to look and see on the Ringer's top 100 list really quickly and say, who's the 30th? Kyrie Irving is 25th. Jimmy Butler's 26th. LaMelo Ball, 27. Karl Anthony Towns, 28. Jalen Williams, 29. Paul George, 30. Those are pretty big time pieces. So are any of our guys that? Kind of be surprised. I think Walker's going to be a 25 minute a night rotation player. Taylor, we're 2 years away from knowing anything anymore, which is just so tragic about that. And our young guys are too young to know whether they're going to click in at some level there. I don't know if I think that Pascal Siakam's 33rd in the league. I'm not sure. I think he's a max. He gets a max, but I don't know if he's a big time player. Like Pascal Siakam really moved the meter toward a championship in a huge way. He's good. He helps you win games, but he's not moving it like Shea or Durant or AD or Anthony Edwards or I think there's 11, 12 guys in the league that move it like that. Maybe 15. Victor's probably in there. Jaw's probably in there. Yeah, probably 16, 17 guys like that. So, I think that the question on this is, if you're thinking about timeline, right? Everybody wants timeline. The question, this is where I say it's 5 shows, but this is almost impossible to answer. But okay, if none of our guys are more than 25 a minute night players, how many years do you have to get high level draft picks to build a franchise? It's really what you're asking, right? Or if Keyonte's a 32 minute a night starter and Walker's a rotation player, and we don't know on Taylor, and one of our 3 rookies becomes rotation players, so we have 3 rotation players, how many years do we have to try to be in the bottom 5 for draft picks? I think that's what you're asking. It's a great question. I don't know the rubric here of what the answer. If the answer is none, we've got 3 to 4 years of being a bottom 5 team before we can move forward. Right, that's brutal. If the answer is Keyonte's going to be a top 50 player in the NBA, Walker's going to be a top 100 player in the NBA, and Cody Williams turns into something, well then, you need a top 10, you need a top 20, you need a top 50 to win a championship, to be competing for a championship. That's the game. You need a top 10, a top 20, and a top 50 to be competing. Are any of our guys a top 50 player in the NBA? If the answer is no, then we might need 3. We probably, frankly, mathematically, the answer is we need 4 or 5 more years of draft picks. I know it's brutal. Now we have Minnesota's draft picks and Cleveland's draft picks, and that increases your chance of hitting. And so then maybe it's not 4 or 5 years. But like you don't hit 100% on top 5 picks. You hit probably 3 out of 75%. And then if you need 3 more pieces, you need 4 years to do that, right? That's the math that was just going on inside this little noggin. All right, let's have some fun. What is your favorite road city? Mine is Toronto. I think it's an incredible cosmopolitan international city. The thing I love most about it is like the intermixing of ethnic foods and ethnicity in the city. Like LA's got great ethnicity, but they're all in their little pockets. But like you could have the shawarma stop next to the burger place, next to the Thai place, next to the Ethiopian place, and they're all right next to each other in Toronto. It's a major metropolitan city, but it's got an incredible arts district. It's got great shopping. It's got a university dead center in the middle. It's incredible. Toronto's amazing. I like going home to the Bay Area because that's where I grew up. So that's pretty neat for me as well. What is the best and worst part of the road? So my favorite part of the road, honestly, is the bus pulls in underneath the arena. We get off the bus and we walk into the arena. Like that moment to me of like feeling like you're at an event and the importance of getting on the team bus and going into the arena and that whole thing, like that fires me up. That makes road games fun. That's a pretty fun, like feeling. That's probably my favorite thing. You're about to go perform. Like I love the job. The camaraderie with the guys, Bowler's amazing. Thurl's amazing. Ron's amazing. Lauren Green is super neat. So, and then there's all sorts of these guys behind the scenes who I introduced you to, Joe and Travis and Jeremy and Spencer. So that camaraderie is great. And the time you spend with the coaches and the people on the team and the players, just seeing them around, even if it's just a silly thing, like bumped into Lowry and Will at dinner the other night and just, quick 1-minute interaction with them. It's just to be a part of something is really cool. The worst part of the road is that we landed, the sleep. Like I'm on 3. Would you like to know exactly what we're on today? I'm on 3 hours and 49 minutes of sleep. That's the worst part of it, that your sleep pattern is just disrupted, but it's not so bad. All right, that is Locked On Jazz today. Thanks so much for tuning in on We Now. Please, if you have been thinking about signing up for the newsletter, please do it. LockedOnDaily.com. Just go right now and sign up at LockedOnDaily.com and for free, get a daily Locked On Jazz newsletter in your inbox with national stories from Katie Heindel and Mike Schreier, with fantasy tips and all the links to the most important stories. It's the number one stop you ever need for you. You can follow me at DLock09 on Threads, on Blue Sky, and on X. So please do that as well. And if you have not subscribed to the podcast, please do. We now send you on video to the national 24/7 NBA channel at Locked On NBA, and on audio, check out the 2 editions of Locked On NBA highlighted by Game Night at the end of all games.